YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to kdjTV. Thank you for joining me again today for another feature premiere recap from San Diego studio. They just did a 98-minute long feature premiere. And let me tell you, it was long. So we're going to recap everything in like 9 or 10 minutes. We're going to do significantly less than 98 minutes. So if you missed the entire feature premiere, don't go back to it. Don't even consider not wasting your time. There was some valuable information in there, but we're going to summarize it a lot quicker here. This feature premiere was all about presentation, commentary, franchise, and March to October. Now, a brunt of it, like an hour plus, was franchise and mostly franchise, but March to October was kind of like merged in the explanation process. I think there's some carryover there. It was a little confusing. It was also such a long stream that I probably lost focus, but don't worry, as always, I took notes. So we're going to handle as much of this information as possible. We're going to make it nice and digestible, and we'll talk about all that's to come in MLB The Show 23. Boys and girls, before we really get into today's video, I just want to let you all know that I am running a giveaway over on Twitter for a free digital deluxe edition of MLB The Show 23. I will pin the tweet in the description. All you have to do, it's really simple. Retweet the tweet, follow me on Twitter, and then just subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you post a screenshot in the comments under the tweet that you subscribed. I will be announcing the winner on March 17th, exactly 1 week before early access for the game drops on March 24th. I am trying to do YouTube content big this year, news updates, the show, the podcast, everything and more, plus a couple surprises. Make sure you subscribe, and thank you guys for entering the giveaway. And now, without any more nonsense, let's get to the video. Alright, so we'll get to the actual franchise talk momentarily. I just want to spend a couple minutes on some of the presentation and commentary things that they talked about. I want to just point out first, in the bottom right hand of the screen, the new score bug looks incredibly clean. They didn't talk about it once, they didn't mention it at all. I would just like to point out that it looks great. Now, clearly, this is a demonstration of offline score bugs. I don't know if they're going to look the same in online play in Diamond Dynasty. I hope they do. But one thing that I noticed in particular is that that momentum meter is not there anymore. The momentum meter never actually meant anything. I actually thought it kind of took away from the score bug because it just made it busier. I like simplistic. I think this looks incredibly clean. SDS was busy in the motion capture studio during the offseason. That's what they said anyway. They added, I'm reading off my paper here, so I apologize for looking down. They added more player emotions that focus on like the highs and lows. So you'll see here's a cool celebration from Cody Bellinger, new Cub, probably hitting a walk-off home run. Dansby Swanson, new Cub, presumably with a walk-off single. But you'll also see the negative side of it. You'll see the pitcher's reaction to giving up that walk-off hit. You'll see the manager or players on the bench, hitting the dugout rail because they're upset. So, listen, they don't make or break the game. See, there you go. Oh, he was actually excited. Apologies. He was not upset. Doesn't make or break the game. Certainly makes it, a little more immersive. I don't always watch all the cutscenes, but some people do. So I'm glad that they fix it for people that enjoy that kind of stuff. Now, you see here the game stage. I actually am interested to see where this goes. It's a new, I guess like a loading screen or like a pre-game screen, which is how they're going to break down the lineup, the starting pitchers. It looks pretty... It's definitely different. It's detailed. I enjoy that. But it does look pretty boilerplate cookie cutter, it's not too innovative, but hey, it's different than what we have, and I'm always up for making changes, so I'm here for it. They also updated themes. I love this on-field graphic. They did a couple things where now if you play season-long modes, they have designated certain games of the week. It does nothing but add a different presentation style, and that's cool, because otherwise every presentation is exactly the same. They also said that mini-seasons, I'm going to see if I can fast-forward to it. Yes. Mini-Seasons has been rebranded. It's still called Mini-Seasons as a mode, but the games that take place are called the Global Baseball League. Kind of cool. They also added some pretty cool stuff as far as like Jumbotron changes and regional sports networks. If you use City Connects, the color schemes of your City Connects will be the color schemes of the stadium for that game. Just cool little things. And this is all mostly talking about offline modes, I'm pretty sure. Milestones, just little cool things that happen, like if Arenado hits his 300th home run, not a huge deal here. We're fast-forwarding. Oh, flyovers, they were like, oh, look, we added patriotism, so that's cool. There's flyovers. Jumbotrons. They added, hundreds, they said hundreds, of new videos and like ribbons. I don't know what ribbons are, but all sorts of things that you can stare at that light up bright. The game needed a refresher, so I'm here for it. You know, I don't have to stare at the same thing all the time. They had even said transparently, it's like, it's been a while since we've made these changes. So they made the changes. I liked what they did here. I thought this was really cool. They added like preseason projections for early in the season. And like, listen, I know these could have been pre-programmed. I'm sure they were, but like, if I were to project what the Cardinals would look like in 23 and how things would stand, this is pretty effing accurate to me. So hopefully that means the logic is improved, because this makes sense. You know, not everything makes sense in MLB The Show, so we have to celebrate the things that do. Another thing they added, which I think is pretty cool, they added the exteriors of select ballparks in the game. It's not every ballpark, but there are a good handful. You'll see this when the announcers are introducing themselves pregame and the game is loading in and you're just starting to get the feel of what the game is. I like this. I don't know why they never had it before. It seems silly not to, but they have it now. As far as commentary updates go, we know it's still our guys Boo Shambi and Chris Singleton for year number 2. They added more depth and variety to their conversations. They did add more conversational content. Listen, there were 16 years. It's a wild, wild amount of time. 16 years of Matt Vescursion commentary. It is not surprising that the commentary lacked a little bit last year, and honestly, it will probably lack a little bit this year. There's nothing you can do about it. There's only so much time for these two, who are professional broadcasters with other jobs, to sit down in a studio and record thousands of hours of commentary, which they've already done, so they would have to record thousands more. I'm not someone who cares about the commentary. I don't listen to it. I turn it off day one. Some people do that, some people don't. It's entirely your prerogative. I understand that the commentary and the conversations can get very repetitive and very stale. This is the type of thing that the only way to fix it is time. You just gotta be patient. Over the next couple of years, it will get better. But right now, we're hoping for improvements this year. It sounds like they've made them, and I'm just anxious to see what it comes out to be. All right, so we did not get to the franchise portion of this until 42-ish minutes into the stream. That, of course, counts the countdown timer in the beginning. But we literally spent the last hour and like 9-ish minutes on franchise. It was long. Like I said, listen, it's valuable information. If you're a big franchise head, go back and watch it. Skip ahead to 42 minutes. I don't think this was a must-watch feature premiere. I'm glad I sat through the whole thing. I'm glad that I'm now more knowledgeable about it than I was. I also got Twitch drop packs, so that's good too. Basically, the changes to franchise this year entirely have to do with the draft. They did make collective bargaining agreement changes to reflect what's going on in baseball. The Ohtani rule, where he can hit and pitch in the same game, is fine. Universal DH has been programmed in. They said something really interesting about the new playoff format that they did not put in last year. And I appreciated the depth of their response, because they didn't have to say what they said. They're like, last year we couldn't add the new playoff format because it's not that easy. You don't just flip a switch and boom, there's another couple playoff teams. Adding new playoff teams changes the logic of the game. It changes the fabric of what a competitor looks like. It changes trade deadline strategy. It changes all sorts of like commentary functions, like, oh, this team's in the hunt or this team's out of it. You know, it is different, and it's something that I should have realized, but honestly something I didn't. So I'm glad I listened, and I'm glad I learned that it's not as easy as just adding a team. It does actually change the way things operate. So it works now, is basically what I'm getting at, and I'm glad they explained it the way they did. They also said that AAA realignment has been reflected. They have updated the competitive balance tax, They've balanced the schedule, just like we're having an MLB this year. You're not just going to play your division 87 games, and then everybody else is sprinkled in. You play every team now in the schedule this year. And the draft lottery is new, so that's cool too. While we're watching this little clip here, I don't even know what this clip is about. Just going to talk about a couple more things that they said happened. Basically, player and trade metric logic is different. They think we've made some good adjustments. I've heard that in the past, so we'll see. I'm sure. Oh, here's the new postseason format. Apparently I didn't fast forward enough. Not a big deal. They also tuned the rosters a little bit, where overall player rankings are more accurate. Relief pitchers they found were incredibly overvalued, so they devalued them as far as not attributes, but like trade value and things of that nature. And they shifted to more realism. Those are direct quotes as well. Heard that before. Can't wait to see if it's true or not. The coolest part that they've changed about franchise, in my opinion, is that they've actually made the draft process more immersive. And listen, you guys have heard me say it before, I'm not a big franchise player, and it's largely because it doesn't interest me. It used to interest me a ton, but they haven't done anything to spice it up. This is not the peak of franchise change. Franchise still needs work. But this, I think, is a good step in the right direction because it adds thought from us, the player, into the mode. It's not just, skip scouting, move on, let's play the games or sim the games or whatever. Now you actually have to scout. You have to pay attention. You have to rank how you scout. It's a lot of cool things. So they updated the top 50 prospect lists. They have a new prospect generation logic, which is what's on the screen right now. In the past, it was just high school seniors and all college players. That's what that said there. But now it's high school seniors, JUCO players in their first and second years, college juniors. It also includes college seniors. It also includes four-year freshmen, four-year sophomores, four-year juniors, and four-year seniors. It's immersive. And no longer are you going to have draft classes that are entirely made up of like 24-year-olds for whatever reason, because that never made sense. Now there's actually going to be a lot of 18 and 19-year-old high schoolers in there, or JUCO players in there. And it will weigh heavily towards younger players in the draft. I think that makes a ton of sense. I think that's super cool. Another cool thing with these prospects is undrafted prospects in the past just used to vanish. Now they go back into the player pool for next year, so you can still track them even after they've gone undrafted. And that's how baseball works. Players go undrafted, and then all of a sudden they become first-round picks the next year. So that's kind of cool. That mimics real life. They also said a lot about how prospects are just created as far as diamonds in the rough. Those are obviously players that you might draft late who completely outperform their draft stock. Busts, I don't have to explain what a bust is. But there's a lot that goes into determining that. Hiring the correct scouts. New available information. Let's see if I can find some of that stuff. They did a lot of screenshots here. So these are the scouts. These are how you choose your scouting. You'll see efficiency, pitchers, discovery, position players. They all mean different things. Efficiency and discovery are the two interesting ones. Discovery is how apt your scout is to find a player that no one else has found. Efficiency is how quickly that they can scout certain players. I know exactly the screen I'm looking for. I'm just trying to find it. Okay, this is the one. Okay, so let's look at Andres Moya here. Don't worry about the scouting progress bar. Bonus demand, not concerned about it right now. Draft rank, don't care. Potential, overall, and then doctor exam are the things that are interesting to me. Potential, you'll always know once you start scouting. Overall, you won't know until you've drafted the player and signed the player. So I like this relationship. I think these windows starting so wide really makes you focus on scouting them because as you scout them, they narrow and you learn more information. The one other big thing that I like is, you see on the bottom right of Andres Moya, it says doctor exam pending. These prospects have the option to opt out of doctor's exams, presumably hiding injuries, and that just adds a whole nother layer to the draft. Like when the Mets could have had Kumar Rocker, and whoever could have had Kumar Rocker ended up signing somewhere else. I'm sorry, I forgot where it was. But he had injury issues, and people were scared. They backed off. He signed somewhere else. So the doctor exam thing is interesting. It does add an injury risk. If the player does come back from the doctor exam has injured, you're taking a real risk there because it could be long-term. But I just like the way that they've made each prospect actually seem unique. It doesn't feel right to say they have personality because clearly we don't know about them, but they do have little stories built into every single little box there. Andres Moya's box, Lewis Calhoun's box. That's all telling a story right there. That's a story. And I think part of the allure of franchise is having the players, us, the video game players, creating narratives around the players, especially the prospects and guys we trade for. Creating narratives around them that we care about and why we should care about them. Like, who's your midseason acquisition that leads you to the World Series and is suddenly, like, your hero? Who's your no-name prospect? Maybe it's Lewis Calhoun, and he ends up being the best player in team history. It's things like that you have to manufacture yourself as the franchise player, but this gives you the opportunity to easily craft those stories, and I love that. So really, guys, all we're going to do now is just take a look at a few more screens. All the screens are new. There's honestly, it seems like I'm skipping information because this wasn't, like I said, an hour and 38-minute stream, but all they did was just run through how this works. They showed a lot of new screens. I love the UI. It looks pretty clean. Makes sense. You can prioritize which prospects you're scouting based on these 3 tiers here. Again, we go back to that screen where we see a little more scouting progress. So as you see, the potential here has narrowed. It's not a 20-point window. It's a 13-point window. We're back on this screen again for some reason. Now we're here. I want to go to the draft. Okay, here's the draft. I kind of like the way the draft looks. I'm not going to lie. The star on the left side here shows you that it's your pick. 4th pick for the Texas Rangers. You can queue prospects you've scouted to make them easily available. You could skip to your next pick. You could sim the whole draft. It has a lot of options, and I think options are what are important here. The player cards also look really nice. I love the way these look. You do have to do a lot of evaluating, and I think that's the whole point of it. And then when you draft a player, it's the same exact screen from when you pull a diamond or you get drafted and Road to the Show. But hey, you know what? It's fine. Whatever. It's different. I know it's lazy, but it's different, and that's all that matters. And the key thing to point out here, they made it seem as if this was only for franchise what they were talking about, but all of this is also accurate for March to October. They did not actually do a separate March to October explanation here. There was no dedicated time for it. They just did it all in franchise and like, oh yeah, by the way, this is for everything. Clayton, someone who works at SDS who was part of the stream here, did say in the beginning that everything I'm about to say applies to both franchise and March to October. He said that right up front. But I kind of still thought there would be like a separate March to October's changing type of thing. They just didn't care. And YouTube, honestly, that's it. Listen, if you want more in-depth stuff about how drafting actually works, go watch the stream. I'm just here to give you the baseline of what has changed. And for you to learn more, go to that stream. They will have more information. You can see how it works. I didn't want this to also be a 98-minute explainer of a video that already lives on the internet. Cool news today. We got Matt Cain as a new legend. Shelfie made a great point. They often introduce legends in pairs, so maybe that means we'll get Tim Lincecum. God, I hope so. But otherwise, a lengthy news day for MLB The Show, but also not a super deep amount of information. Hopefully more as the weeks come. We're getting closer and closer every single day to the game. Make sure you participate in my giveaway to potentially win a free digital deluxe edition of MLB The Show. We'll be announcing that winner 1 week before the game drops for early access. Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. I love you all so much. Keep killing the YouTube. Subscribe down below. See you next time.